Welcome to this lecture about the DJI Go app. This is the first lecture. There are three. This is the app overview, followed by the general settings, and then the third and final lecture will be the camera settings. So the Go app is huge. It's even bigger than what I originally thought, and there really is a huge amount of potential and capability with this app. So this overview lecture will just show you in broad terms how big this app is and what you can do and how it can help you, and then we'll jump in the other lectures into the settings. Okay, so I'm going to be teaching this on the Android app, but it's very similar for iOS. When you open up the Go app, you will be confronted with this main view. On your top left, you have your flight log section. On your top right, you go into your further information, tutorials, and so on. To jump into your device, into your Phantom, you would click on Camera, and it lets you cycle between different, Inspire, Mavic, Phantom 3, Phantom 4, and so on. Equipment, that is the tab that we are now, that lets you jump into camera. You can jump through to the editor, where it says you can take your aircraft to the sky and create your first aerial video. Next is SkyPixel. This is the community. You can look at popular, recent, you can follow people, and this is where you get to upload your content and interact with other users. You can go into competitions. They often have photography competitions called SkyPixel, which is also cool. And then you can jump onto the Me tab, where you can have a look at your information. There's a gift card, upload history, a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so let's jump into the Academy and have a look at the various options. So you have your flight simulator, and this is basically a built-in simulator which allows you to use your remote controller and simulate and practice flying. You've got a whole bunch of video tutorials, you've got text and image-based flight tutorials, and then you've got your user manuals. So let's see what happens when we press on simulator. Okay, so if you look here, it says mid-air motor stop method changed. If you want to kill your motors in the air, and it's only under massive emergency that you would consider doing this, you pull your left stick to the bottom right corner while pressing the Smart RTH button. Okay, so this is a new method. It used to be called the CSC, combination stick command, where you would bring both sticks down and to the inside corner. So the left would come down to the right corner and the right would come down to the left corner. So they've changed the combination stick command. Okay, so now we go into the flight simulator. Just clicking on the question mark icon, it brings up a couple of help points. The first one is how to start your motors. Now all of this is going to be covered in detail in your flight training, but for the flight simulator purposes, let's just run through it quickly. So if you bring both sticks down and to the innermost corners, this is called your combination stick command, and this allows you to start the motors. The next one is taking off and landing. They show you that you use your left throttle stick and you push up to take off, and then you bring it down to land, and it's based on mode 2 controls, which is what the majority of people fly with. Third is to turn your aircraft's heading. In other words, to change the way where the camera is facing, you use your left stick to the left and right. Again, this will all be covered in your flight training. And to move your aircraft forward, backward, left or right, you use your right stick. Final one is to control your camera. To make it look up or down, you use your left control wheel. On the top left of your remote controller, there's a little wheel, and when you turn, it's called a gimbal dial. When you turn that up or down, it'll change the gimbal up or down. Okay, let's have a look at the different perspectives that you can get with the simulator. So let's tap on change perspective and jump into the different views. The second perspective option is you inside. I think this is a bit disorientating. I wouldn't choose it. And then the third perspective is where you stay with, the camera stays with the Phantom. That's not bad. It can get a little bit confusing, but it's also not a bad view. So I'm going to take off in this view. I pull down my sticks and bring them to the innermost circles, and that creates the motors to start running. And then I push my left stick up to get takeoff. Now I go up in the air. And I take my right stick and I gently move it to the left a little bit, and I roll to the left, and then I come off it and I stop, and then I take the right stick and I move it to the right a little bit, and I come off it and I stop. So this is basically where you can practice what you learn in your flight training. I find the simulator to be useful, but not nearly as good as actually practicing on the ground and in the air at the field, because it's a little bit sluggish and unresponsive, and you lose sight of it very quickly. And it's good, but if you really want to improve your flying skills, go to the field and practice. Okay, so that's your flight simulator. Let's look at the video tutorials. Right, the video tutorials are very good. They're very diverse, and some of them are out of date. For example, your top 10 common pilot errors, definitely worth watching. The number 1 error is using your combination stick command when you're in the air, and now that's been changed. So they just need to update them, but the information's very good, and I would definitely take an hour or two, make a cup of coffee, and just watch all these videos, because there's a lot of great information. So you've got top 10 common pilot errors, how to maintain and use your battery, how to activate your aircraft, looking for flight records. One day you might need your flight records. What to do when the RC signal is lost with a return home. It's very important to understand return home. So that's a very good video. Another video on the bottom left there about your vision positioning system and where it works and where it doesn't work. So these videos are very useful, and there's a lot of them. Next is your flight tutorials. They seem to be like blogs or articles. You've got beginners, you've got hot tips. So just looking at the beginner section, for example, let's have a look at the third article, Return Home, how it works and what to avoid, RTH. So this article explains return home. It's got some imagery, and you can scroll through and get a good understanding of that feature. And then, for example, looking at the hot tips, these are for more advanced users. So, for example, we'll look at the bottom third article, Best Practices to Get Your Drone's Photo to the Full Potential. This was written by a Phantom owner who takes a lot of photographs, who's done a really good job, and he will give you fantastic photography tips which you can apply. Finally, user manuals. You can have access to the user manuals, which is very useful. And now we're going to jump into the top left, which is your flight logs. If you tap on the top left, it'll bring up your flight logs, and you can tap on any one of the logs to go into it. You can also tap on the top right, and you can synchronize your flights. And if your flights have been synchronized, there'll be a little cloud on the top right next to each one. And now we're going to tap and look at one of the flights. Now what's useful about the flight logs is they let you basically relive or re-experience that flight. So you've got control buttons on the bottom. You can bring up the sticks so you can actually see what you were doing with the sticks. And you can push play, you can fast forward, you can jump around, and it'll show you your entire flight from beginning to end. It even shows you where you took photographs, where you took videos. It's very, very powerful, this flight logs. Absolutely powerful, and you can really review your flight and learn from this information. Okay, just so you know, when it comes to using the video editor capability in the Go app, there is a great tutorial on how to do this that DJI have created. I'm not going to create a tutorial on this because I use Adobe Premiere Pro, but you can look at this tutorial. It's quite a powerful editor for something that's just available in an app, and I'll put the link to the editor so you can learn how to use it. It's pretty useful. And that brings us to the end of the overview of the Go app. Next, we're going to be looking at the general settings, and that'll give you a much better idea of what actually happens inside the Go app on your Phantom. And then finally, we'll end off with the camera settings. Thank you.